we are at a point where Muslims and Christians need to fucking get along, because it's pretty obvious that Muslims and Christians are so much more similar and have so much more in common and have been intentionally divided by the sort of satanic sect of Judaism that has taken over Israel. Yeah, there is a lot to talk about in this new file drop that is not exactly YouTube safe. I'm honestly really surprised that they let all this shit out, and I don't really understand why or how that happened, but there's so much fucking more than what has actually come out, and I'm just kind of enraged. I'm enraged at our politicians.
Those fucking pussies, dude. Those damn pussies, dude. You're the only one that actually stood on business and was just like, what the, who cares? Like, am I wrong? Did anyone stand on business?
Nick also did. Nick didn't fold.
Yeah, I've got beef with Nick for other fucking reasons.
Well, can we shake hands through the screen right now? This is a Christian Muslim
100%,
Alliance.
dude.
If you read this one,
What side of the screen is it? It's
right
this
there,
side.
right there. There we go. Yes, Christian Muslim Alliance.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, I was just telling Ian Carroll, congratulations. You know, the conspiracy theorists are right. Time and time again, COVID, Israel, Epstein, what else? How many times do we have to be right too early? So, you know, you're a legend.
I mean, one of the crazy ones that you were just going over is Pizzagate too, dude. Like, Pizzagate was, like, you weren't allowed to touch Pizzagate. Pizzagate was for, like, real crazies for a long time. And, I mean, this is a little different, but the Epstein emails and all the files they've got, they clearly correlate to Pizzagate in a lot of crazy ways. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I love pizza, and not in that way. It sounds weird even saying that now, but I've never emailed someone to get pizza once, and it's all over JMail world. Have you done a deep dive? And also, to introduce you quickly, I would say this is Ian Carroll. You guys know who he is. He's going on Tucker Carlson pretty soon. He was on Joe Rogan last year, has a great podcast, very informational. People know him as an investigative researcher. Your motto is seek truth, follow the money. Mm-hmm. Yes, got it right.
I mean, I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude that tried to figure out what the fuck is going on. And I thought I was going to be doing, like, deep dives into the stock market or some shit, because I like money rules the world. And then the more you start digging around, the more you realize that, like, all roads lead back to a bunch of satanic pedophiles ruling the world. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? I wasn't planning for it to be like that.
Yeah, neither was I. My same, first time we met on Jake Shields' podcast, my motto has always been seek truth through funny, which is very similar. So you were like investigative research. I'm just like here making content, and I believe in, funny oftentimes is the truth. What's funny is true. And then you end up, you're like, oh, wait, pizza? Huh? Israel? Wait, goy? What? I just wanted to tell some jokes and stuff. I thought it was going to be, about low-level politics and, feminism. And then here we are. Here we are at Pizzagate. Yeah.
And that's actually, I don't remember exactly, but I feel like we talked about a lot of this shit that very first time we hung out on Jake's podcast too. Because it's been a running theme. It's like everyone had suspected a lot of these things for a long time. And if you've been following it, people that actually do the research, like that actually read the books and shit, like we've known for ages all of the stuff that's coming out now and lots more. It's like there's way more than what's come out just in these emails. They're shocking, but there's so much more than that.
How much have you looked into JMail? I saw you texted me saying Sam Hyde's a legend. You're looking through this stuff. It's so funny because I didn't know. He probably bought the domain.
What you just found, that link is fucking hilarious, dude. He totally must have bought that link.
Did you see that before?
No, that was the first time I've seen it on your stream, dude. That was funny as fuck. That's exactly what Sam Hyde would do too.
Yeah.
And I've dug around a little bit in JMail, but also for where I'm at, I love that the people that made that have put that out for the people, but I don't use it for my research because I don't want to have an intermediary that I'm trusting to have like put all the files in one place, because it's really fucking hard to get all the files. I'm doing it myself right now, trying to download like 1.something million files and then trying to upload them all into places, and some of the drops aren't complete. And so I would rather go to the primary sources and get them directly, just so that I'm not missing anything, because I don't know who made JMail.
All right, so you don't think JMail is a legitimate source?
Oh, I think it's a legit source. I think they have the best of intentions and are doing an awesome job. It's just that from my own work trying to get all the files onto an online resource, it's actually way fucking harder than it sounds. And this last drop, there was a bunch of people, journalists all around the world, that were all trying to download all these files at once. And everyone kept having problems getting all. File set 9 was fucking massive. And a bunch of people, most people weren't able to get the whole file set all at once because the DOJ website kept blocking you. So there's just a lot of like technical difficulties in actually getting every single file
Right.
downloaded and then uploaded into one place. So I would just rather do it myself, so I know I'm not missing stuff, or if I am missing stuff, I know what I'm missing. Whereas in Gmail, it's like an awesome resource for regular people to like tool around in and kind of see what's in there. But I would hate to like be looking for something and think that there's like, oh, that guy's not mentioned because it's missed in Gmail for whatever reason. I don't know how much of the new stuff they already have in it. Do you know if they have the whole set 9, 10, 11, and 12 already in Jmail?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I do want to look through some of that stuff. There's a lot that I want to talk to you about. But yeah, some of that stuff is censored as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut YouTube. So YouTube people, come on over to Kick. I'll continue speaking with Ian Carroll. We'll do a deep dive here. The link is pinned, and it's the first link in the description, kick.com/SNEAKO. It's just YouTube. You got to be careful. I did just get it back. And we'll see you over here.
Yeah, congrats, man. I didn't realize you were back on YouTube. Nice fucking work, man.
Yeah, I got unbanned in October of last year. So after 3 years, YouTube apologized and said, sorry for the wait, but thank you for your patience. And we were wrong. Here's your channel back.
The wait. The wait.
Yeah. They said literally thank you for your patience, which is so ridiculous because one of them was for election.
Patience. That's given up.
Yeah. Election misinformation, COVID misinformation. I was one of the only channels because they changed their policy. If you're banned, traditionally YouTube says you can't make a new account. Then they changed it, but everybody else has to make a new channel. I actually got reinstated because of that.
That's sick.
Yeah. So, okay. Cutting YouTube now. Come on over.
But yeah, there is a lot to talk about in this new file drop that is not exactly YouTube safe.
Yeah, I was looking through some of these photos, and you just got to be careful.
Yeah.
So what is your overall take before we do a deep dive a little bit? I didn't know you're on limited time. I don't know how busy you are. But
yeah, I got a couple other things I'm filming tonight, but
what's your take so far? Yeah.
My overall take is I'm not trying to be like fucking. I'm not trying to be that guy, but my overall take is like I already knew all this, dude. Like if you've been reading the information, like just if you read Whitney Webb's books, you already knew everything that's in these drops and more. There is like really interesting details that are connecting. There's specifics about people that you wouldn't have realized. There's lots of interesting dots that are connecting, but as far as like how fucked up it is, it's so much worse than what it looks like right now, and it looks bad. It looks horrible. I'm honestly really surprised that they let all this shit out, and I don't really understand why or how that happened. But there's so much fucking more than what has actually come out, and I'm just kind of enraged. I'm enraged at our politicians and at our FBI and at every single fucking person in the government, everyone that is trying to cover this up, at Ben Shapiro, at people like all those people, because it's so obvious what this is, and it's so obvious that it's an Israeli blackmail ring that has our country in a stranglehold, that was, raping children for years, doing worse than that too, murdering, doing worse than that. And it's so obvious that the blackmail is still in play, because why else would it be 2026 when we're fucking finally getting the slightest bit of transparency here, when it should have all happened in 2019? Mm-hmm. This should have all happened in 2019 and then some. Like, people should have been going to jail in 2019. We have documents that show that they had a whole list of co-conspirators ready to go. They had Leslie Wexner's name right there. They had 10 names. And there's way more than 10. Yeah, they could have fucking gone after all these people. And instead, they gave them a sweetheart deal, and they gave immunity to all co-conspirators, named and unnamed, just blanket, which is the most obvious fucking cover-up in the world. And so it's just, it's tiring and it's enraging. It is exciting that it's coming out, and I'm stoked. There's certainly no shortage of work for someone like me, but it's super infuriating, because this is the point where people should be hanging from gallows, or should be locked up in prison, or should be this should be like burn the town down kind of shit. When you have a foreign nation coming over and raping your children in order to control your government, and it's obviously working, and it's still working today, it's like, how the fuck are you supposed to feel, right?
Yeah, there should be some sort of public execution if this stuff is true. So but also, I really like that you pointed out, Ian, how so many people are obviously covering up what they're lying. They're insulting our intelligence and lying to our faces. You called up Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh. 2 days ago, I tweeted at him. He's going back and forth. He kept saying, the left. Mm-hmm. Biden covered it up. I'm like, okay, the left, whatever. Like,
is he really doing that still, dude?
Yeah, he's still doing it. And so I pinned him and I said, okay, stop yapping. Who did Epstein work for? He didn't answer. He tweets about me all the time, calling me a communist. And it's funny, another one covering it up is Piers Morgan, who's calling me a Nazi. What I like about you, Ian, is that
thanks for all your amazing work.
Oh,
Can you
someone's
predict
TTSing.
what might
He said,
happen to
"Ian,
the
thanks for your
average
work."
citizen because of this coming out and no
can't
one
hear
being
it.
prosecuted?
I
Thanks,
like-
whoever that is. Yeah, I can't hear it.
Okay, well, he said he's asking you, what could you predict might happen to the average citizen?
That happened to the average citizen?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to get digital mass surveilled. You're going to get digital ID'd. You're going to get your fucking dollar ruined to shit. Your vote's not going to count unless we do something. Like, unless something fucking happens, like, we're in deep trouble. Like, shit is not good. And Epstein was involved in a lot of those systems that are coming for us, like Peter Thiel, for example. So.
Yeah, what I like a lot about your platform, Ian, is that I think we agree. You don't seem to really fall into right or left. It seems like you understand that that's all exactly, like 100%, that most of this is all division tactics. I think similar to what's going on with ICE right now reminds me so much of George Floyd, where they give the goyim something to go fight about in the streets and pretend like it's about left and right.
Exactly.
Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro talking about the Grammys and Sabrina Carpenter rather than talking about the most important issue in American modern history. So, and this is what they try to label me to get you silenced. The media, New York Times, who's been implicated in the files, they're calling me an anti-Semite. Piers Morgan's calling me a Nazi. What Matt Walsh is calling me a communist. I get all these labels, and I just want you to answer. I want these people to answer, who did Epstein work for? Piers Morgan's threatening to sue me because I'm like posting a picture of him next to Ghislaine Maxwell, right? Let's just
For real.
And Piers Morgan, he called out, he said that it was Russia 2 days ago. That's the mainstream media narrative now. It's Russia.
Yeah, that's like their last ditch effort. It was Russia. Obviously, it was Russia. Fucking idiots. Yeah. It's you're so right about the division and the division is, and the craziest thing. So you asked me earlier, like, what's the craziest thing in my mind?
Right.
The craziest thing when you look at these files, in my opinion, is the overt Jewish supremacy and Jewish subversive tactics. That was always this like anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. And you know, it can get taken to a point where it's like you're no longer in evidence. You're just like angry, which I understand at this point. Like, I'm fucking angry. But like when you read the files and you read what they're actually doing and how they actually think about Goyim and how they actually are working together and subverting America intentionally in these ways, it's like, dude, so many of these fucking anti-Semitic conspiracy theories are in the files directly. One of these motherfuckers is emailing Jeffrey Epstein about how they're going to trans kids younger and younger and younger. And it's like, what, dude?
I didn't see that.
Like, I didn't see that kind of stuff coming. That stuff's crazy.
Yeah, I had a debate with Moist Critical 2 years ago where I was talking about how Zionism has overwhelming control in America. He said I was a crazy conspiracy theorist. And it's funny, the majority of the debate, he was saying that
he's awake now.
Wait, now he's awake. He's talking about the 7K. But not only that, the whole debate, he's talking about how kids should be able to cut their dicks off. That he believes that kids should have transgender surgeries. It's funny how, like, all of these ideologies are found in these emails. Like, even the transgender issue, they're bragging about how they're going to go cut off the goys' dicks.
Well, because what we're realizing is that it's all subversive tactics. It's all the tactics that foreign nations use to subvert a stronger nation. And, you know, you can read about them in like Soviet history and like how the Soviets learned to do this. But ultimately, the country doing it these days is Israel, and they're doing it directly to us. And there was all these theories about how they were doing it. And there was good evidence for a lot of those theories before. But now to hear it from Jeffrey Epstein and his like team's own mouth, it's like, wow. I was not expecting it to be so overt and just in your face. But I'm not surprised because, like, if you just put yourself in Israel's shoes and you read their own words, you listen to their own speeches over the years, their own like prime minister speeches and the IDF speeches, and it's like it's obvious that this is how they think and this is what their goals are. And so when you put how they think and their goals together, you realize what kind of tactics they're going to use. And I mean, just the nature of Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile trafficking ring existing in the first place is all like, that's already like an 11 on the scale of how fucked up you can be. So, you know, what is off the table if you're down with trafficking, raping, murdering, and worse to children, just to subvert another nation and control another nation, and like, of course, the rest of it's on the table.
Yeah, there's a lot that I want to ask you, but I know I have to keep it brief. There's, we
could do more another day too.
Yeah, let's do that.
There's a lot to report on here.
Right. I want to ask you after about specific proof, because in the theme of the title, you know, to debunk everybody, I'm going to ask you about proof. But first I want to ask you, I remember you were getting a lot of backlash a couple months ago for saying one of the major problems is that you didn't want white people to adopt the same ideology. And I saw that, and I give you credit for saying that, because that's what a lot of people was, oh, you're a sellout, you're a libtard. And I got a lot of backlash for saying that 2 years ago. Andrew Tate was going at me because I said He said white supremacists are totally right. I'm like, well, no, this is what the Jewish supremacists believe in. Following racial supremacy ideology is exactly why Israel has subverted and started raping children and blackmailing the United States. Racial supremacy is the core of the issue, right? The belief that everybody else is goy. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people aren't as disgusted about Epstein as I thought they were. I think they look at Epstein and they want to call everyone goy the same way that he did. They want to apply the same tactics. Instead of looking at Epstein saying that this is evil, they're like, wait, we should be doing this ourselves for other nations.
I think you're exactly right. And I think that what that is that when you have this sort of like, for lack of a better term, like satanic perverted influence feeding into your culture, when you have like rampant pornography, when you have rampant drug use, when you have like the media that we have, like the culture that we all grew up with on the TV, you just get a lot of like corruption in people's own minds. Like you get people just being shitty, not following God. And so to me, that's the most clear distinction between someone that like follows the path of God generally, regardless of what they call that, and people that follow the path of like sin, temptation, like lust, greed, fucking just like evil. Because I think a lot of people just want power for themselves. And I think a lot of people look at Jeffrey Epstein, and if you aren't on team God, then you're looking at Jeffrey Epstein and you're like, dude, I want to be a playboy like that. Like, imagine how fucking cool that would be. And it's like, you're a piece of shit. And that is the road to emptiness. And you're right that there's like a surprising number of people that are okay with that. But honestly, most of them are Zionists. Most of them are people that are bought into this like made up fantasy that are already not living in the real world in terms of like what is actually factual, what is actually good and evil, what is actually okay. And I think that there is a lot of like, it's almost like a safety blanket to give yourself over to such a dumb fucking narrative, because you don't have to think anymore. You don't have to like rationalize morality for yourself. You don't have to make hard choices. If you just, give into the authority figure, the people that have all the power and the money, it's like, cool, we'll just go with them. But obviously that's the wrong choice. Like obviously supremacist ideology always leads to evil thinking. Like it leads to killing, it leads to dehumanizing, it leads to slavery, it leads to trafficking, it leads to all this bullshit. It's obviously the like epitome of not godly. And so the way I see it is like, it all boils back down to team God is all men were created equal, with equal rights by God, or you're a supremacist of whatever race, whatever religion, whatever the fuck it is. And you think that some people are lesser than others, which is incredibly short-sighted, because one of these days you'll be lesser than others and you'll get fucked.
Are you, not to get into religion too much, are you Muslim?
No. I'm sort of like somewhere in the middle of Christianity and everything else. I'm probably closest to Christian, but I don't really get down with organized religion. But I love taking a lot of resources from all the books, all the teachings. And I think at this point, if you're not aware of like the truth of like capital G God going on out here, you're fucking missing the point.
Absolutely agree. I agree 100% with everything you just said. So what is? And
I think that it's worth saying that we are at a point where Muslims and Christians need to fucking get along, because it's pretty obvious that Muslims and Christians are so much more similar and have so much more in common, and have been intentionally divided by the sort of satanic sect of Judaism that has taken over Israel, which is hard to even call like true Judaism. But at this point, they're so pervasive and they're so powerful that they look like they're all of Judaism, because they control the Jewish state and they control the Jewish family, the Rothschilds. They control a lot of the Jewish power and money. So it's like, it's pretty obvious that they're the problem child right now, bullying everybody, fucking with everybody, making Christians and Muslims fight each other, when like Christians and Muslims believe mostly all the same things.
Well, can we shake hands through the screen right now? This is the Christian Muslim
100%,
Alliance.
Dude.
If you read this one,
what
here.
side of the screen is it? It's
right
this
there,
side.
right there. There we go. Yes, Christian Muslim Alliance. That's dope. Yeah, and one thing major in common, you pointed out Ben Shapiro. He went on Joe Rogan, the same podcast you went on, and he called Jesus a troublemaker. And recently I talked about how Jesus is the true Messiah and he will return to defeat the Antichrist. And I was like, what? I thought you were, but this is what Muslims believe. We believe that Jesus is the true Messiah, just like Christians do. We have so much more in common. Yeah. There should be an Islamo-Christian values rather than Judeo-Christian values, because
it's a lot closer.
it's like look at the similarities there. But not to get into religion too much, to go back to the subject, what is the most damning evidence that Epstein was a Israeli spy? How could we make sure? What's the best proof?
It depends on if the question is what's the briefest like piece of evidence that proves it, or what's the most conclusive direction to look? Because those kind of have different answers, right?
What would you tell the masses that now that the goy know what goy means? What would you show them to say, okay, here it is? You know, stop listening to Piers Morgan saying it's Russia. Stop listening to Andrew Tate saying Epstein is a success. How would you prove this to them that he was an Israeli operative?
The ironic thing is that some of the most effective, like actual convincing testimony about it is actually been out for years and years and years. Ari Ben Menashe is an ex-Mossad agent that worked right alongside Jeffrey Epstein and Robert Maxwell, as well as a few other guys back in the 80s and 90s. And he very directly alleged exactly what Jeffrey Epstein's role was, exactly who brought him in, Ehud Barak, and just laid it all out in clear testimony. And that is one of the more concise and insider and direct sources that has been proven right and valid over a long period of time here. But if I was to point in one direction that's like the most obvious loose end, it's Ehud Barak. There's dirt everywhere and there's loose ends everywhere. But Ehud Barak, the ex-prime minister of Israel, and more importantly, the ex-head of Israeli military intelligence, he was the head of Israeli military intelligence when Jeffrey Epstein went from just being like a money launderer to getting into working with intelligence agencies in the late 80s, doing arms trafficking and starting to work for Mossad directly is basically what all the sources are aligning on. Mm-hmm. And Ehud Barak's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein is so obviously a handler relationship, and it extends long after Ehud Barak is done in Israeli military intelligence and is even done in the prime ministership and done with the government. And we have thousands and thousands and thousands of Ehud Barak's leaked emails directly evidencing the depth and closeness of the relationship. They're scheduling together, they're visiting each other, they're engaging in Israeli espionage and military activities in multiple countries abroad, like Mongolia, Ivory Coast, Syria. It's a pretty long list. And so to me, the Ehud Barak direction is the most obvious, but it's kind of like a rolling disclosure because there's so much to uncover about Ehud Barak. There's so many sources that it's just kind of an avalanche. That if you don't read any of them, you can be like, oh, whatever. But for those kinds of people, I direct them towards like Alex Acosta, who was told that he belonged to intelligence and to leave him alone, or to Ari Ben Menashe, ex-Mossad spy that worked with Epstein, that said Epstein was a Mossad spy, and he said exactly when and how he was recruited and what he was working on and all that shit. But there's like way more than just that too. And there's all sorts of stuff in these emails. Like Jeffrey Epstein himself claimed that he represented the Rothschilds in these emails multiple times.
Did you see the one where he's bragging about how Jews work in the financial system to short? What is it, to sell shipping? Sell short
the shipping futures. Yes. Let the goyim toil in the real world. Yeah, the Jews don't do real work. We do fake work and just steal value from the markets. Yeah. Nice, Jeffrey. We know.
It's crazy. If I said that, saying that would get you banned everywhere 5 years ago, and it's literally coming from Epstein's email describing exactly what the conspiracy theorists said. What was the craziest thing you've seen in the new Epstein file release?
The craziest stuff I've seen in the new Epstein file releases are a lot of the things that are harder, that are not necessarily corroborated. There's a lot of crazy shit in the tip hotline testimony that is like completely unvetted and you can't really tell if it's real or not. So I don't really want to like cite that as the craziest. The Bill Gates one is fucking hilarious, but I don't know, because to me, things that are crazy, it's like different things are crazy to me. I already know about all the abuse. I know about what they're doing to children. I know about what they're doing with genetic experiments. So I just keep coming back to the Goyim stuff, dude. Yeah. The craziest thing to me is not just how Jeffrey Epstein thought about non-Jews, because we already had some indications of that, but how many of these people in his network that you wouldn't have like necessarily jumped to that conclusion are emailing him in those exact same terms and about those exact same concepts. That is wild. How rampant the Jewish supremacy was, and how obviously tied to their treatment of these minor victims and Johns and everybody else, that mindset was. That's mind blowing to me.
The Elon Musk thing was crazy. I saw it through the emails too, just how many times Like Elon Musk was saying, hey, I'm in the
Musk shit
area.
was crazy, dude.
Elon Musk was saying like, hey, I don't want a peaceful thing. I want to go to the craziest party.
Fucking rage.
He was ready to wild out.
I'm not surprised that that's what he wanted to do, knowing him. Like, bro is fucking just a party animal. But it got even funnier when he goes on Twitter and is like the Epstein files will vindicate me. I didn't even do anything. Like, I'm fine. Like, check it out. And it's like, bro, we can read. Like, we have eyes, bro. Donald Trump is doing the same thing, where Trump is coming out like just yesterday or something. He gave a speech where he's like, see, the files revealed that like the Michael Wolff guy was trying to do a hit piece on me with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm innocent. See, they proved I'm innocent. It's all Democrats. And it's like, bitch, we can read. Like, your entire entourage, like from your donors to your like Marco Rubio's in there, like everyone all around him is in there. Steve Bannon, like, okay, dude, one of the crazy ones that is like, it's not fully fleshed out yet, but it's fucking insane if it, depending on how far it goes, is the connection to the founding of Poll on 4chan and potentially linkages to sort of the founding of the Q movement. Have you seen that stuff yet?
Yes, and how they investigate.
That shit's crazy.
Are we talking about the prison guard who they found his bank account? They tracked his bank account through the 4chan posts? Or so this
No. I mean, that's sort of adjacent to it, but no, it's that Jeffrey Epstein was having meetings with the guy that founded Poll, the politics, like the politics threads, and then that they were talking about like sort of these dissident right ideologies, and then he's super good friends with Bannon, and there's just a lot of like vectors that are circling around like, wait a minute, that movement gave rise to this like big thing about how like the Democrats and Hillary Clinton are running a child sex trafficking ring and talking about pizza all the time, which is like, yeah, a lot of them were up to some sketchy fucking shit, and a lot of them are in these files, but that's not who it was. It was fucking Jewish. It was Jewish billionaires funding a Israeli spy ring that was doing this, and they were doing it with rights and lefts. It was like happening to everybody. But that certainly seemed to have corralled it. Like, we don't know for sure how involved in founding that they were, but it's pretty suspicious. And then they corral all that interest into this like Trump MAGA movement, and then they get Trump in, and Trump is like top fucking goy. It's just, if that's really what happened, it's one of the most fucked up and like impressive intelligence operations the world's ever known.
Right.
And it sucks to be the butt of that fucking joke, to be fair.
And
like,
no matter how much Trump tries to blame it on the radical left, or Matt Walsh says that, oh, Biden covered it up. In the emails, again, they cited a specific quote where Trump said that Epstein was a terrific guy. Allegedly, I don't want to misquote it, but Epstein was a terrific guy, and he loves beautiful girls, some of them very young. It's like, what else? How is this a setup again? But this is a direct quote from you, Trump.
They had an extensive relationship. They did a ton of weird pageantry shit. It's suspicious all the way through. And regardless, Trump's DOJ is the ones actively covering this up, lying to the American people, saying that there's no one to prosecute, there's no evidence that he trafficked anyone. Fucking Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, all of them should be in prison right now because they all said there's no evidence of anything, no one to prosecute, case closed. Not only that, they're literally breaking the law right now by they're redacting a bunch of fucking John's names, a bunch of the perpetrators' names. They're redacting random words and random names, and they're actually failing to redact victim names and a whole bunch of victims' personal private information, their names, their addresses, in some cases like their phone numbers and other stuff, was all just put out there unredacted. So it's like just for that alone, Trump and his whole administration is guilty. Not to mention that they still have like millions of files they haven't released. Not to mention that they drug their heel. It's just like, no, fuck you, dude. Even if Trump never touched a single hair on an innocent person's head, he's still involved in a cover-up, and he's still complicit in not going after these people because there's more than enough evidence to put a fuckload of these people in jail or worse. They just are obviously not prosecuting. They're obviously not investigating.
I saw that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton have to testify in court coming up. Did you see this? What's that about?
Yeah, I don't know a lot about it yet, but I assume it's just a fucking sideshow. I assume that they're going to scapegoat Bill and that they've already arranged amongst the club members who's going to take the fall and what's going to happen, and it's going to be a big embarrassment thing. And Bill, you get the fucking short end of the stick, and it probably is some fucking inside thing between them. They've all, they're all buddies behind the scenes, and I'm sure they're going to try to appease us in some small way. And I'm not appeased. No, not appeased one bit.
You're going on Tucker Carlson when?
I didn't know that people know that I'm going on Tucker Carlson. About what?
It was just
about Epstein.
I saw.
Oh, did he just tweet it?
Yeah, he did.
Cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, so I'm actually recording with him tonight. I don't know the whole scope of it. We're going to talk about Epstein and the network and stuff. And so we're going to record it later tonight because he's over on the other side of the world right now. So time zones are a little fucked up.
Okay, it's where's he? He's in Qatar right now.
It's somewhere like that. He's somewhere in the Middle East. I don't know exactly where.
Yeah, he's always
he's getting his Qatar bucks. Yeah. That's what he's doing.
What do they call him?
He's earning that paycheck.
Tucker Carlson.
Right. Yeah.
Some of that stuff.
You know how it is.
I think he's doing mostly good things, and
yeah, it was really interesting to meet him around the Vegas stuff, and like I really like him. He's a really nice guy. Everyone obviously should have their own opinion. Everyone should judge media figures, especially someone with so deep of a history as Tucker. You should, judge very carefully and think very critically about what he puts out. But everything he's putting out right now is like he's one of the strongest voices for American values, for Christian values. Whoa, calm down, Cheech. My dog's like knocking over my camera in here. So yeah, I'm stoked to talk to him about it because he's been one of the biggest voices that was willing to say that it was Israel. It'll be a good conversation.
Yeah, I was confused though because he did show up recently in the Oval Office at this meeting with Trump where he was talking about the repercussions of the Venezuela invasion. I was like, well, he's very critical about this, but he's still plugged up. What is that about?
I don't know, obviously, but I would assume, trying to put myself in his shoes a little bit, and I'm sure you can kind of relate to this a little bit too, is in this industry, like, you have to make choices about how you amass your power and how you play your power, and access is a lot of power in this industry, but it's also a huge weakness, right? Access journalism is like one of the greatest downfalls of people that could be good independent journalists because they want to keep their access to someone. They won't criticize them. This is how most of like the right wing is controlled right now because they're just too pussy to criticize Trump or to criticize anything about it. But Tucker comes with all this like loaded power and connections from his past life, from his time at Fox News, from all of his like connections. And so if I were in his shoes, I would still be trying my best to play that power and to, do what I can to influence JD Vance and to influence Trump. And I wouldn't throw that ability away for nothing because if like who else is going to walk into the fucking White House and tell Trump what's really going on? Like, sure. I can't think of anyone else, except for maybe like there's a couple of people in the administration that we haven't seen publicly fucking up, but I don't know if that means they're doing anything right. It just means that like I haven't seen Tulsi Gabbard do a single fucking thing the entire time that she's been in, or like Joe Kent, haven't seen him do a single thing the entire time. So maybe they're just like laying low and trying to like dodge bullets. But like in terms of the media, like Charlie Kirk went in to his credit, Charlie Kirk went in there and was like, Trump, don't fucking attack Iran. Charlie's dead. We can argue about who killed him. So like as Tucker, I totally understand that, even though Trump's fucking up and even though Trump's involved in this cover up, kudos to him for still going in there and trying to like exercise a little bit of like sanity at him. Because honestly, I think that Trump's information pipeline is completely controlled. I don't think that Trump has any fucking clue what's going on in the world. The dude's like 80 something years old. His entire schedule is managed. Everything about his life is managed. His phone is managed. I presume that every single piece of media that passes through that man's face is curated and put there intentionally to control his mindset about the world. So, and I'm sure that Tucker understands that even better than I would. So I'm just glad that someone is going in there to fucking hopefully tell him what's going on in the real world.
Two quick more questions. I know you have to go. Do you like Thomas Massie and or James Fishback?
I like Thomas Massie a lot. I got to have lunch with him one time in DC. Yeah, briefly. It was at the Epstein victims thing that he and Ro Khanna put together. And I mean, obviously, like, it's not like you become best buds or get to know someone really in that kind of a brief time span. But obviously, like, he's like the only person actually standing up. Him and Ro Khanna spearheaded this thing. They, stepped across the aisle to do it, bipartisan effort. And it's just like, honestly, I couldn't give a fuck what else he votes on. I don't care what his other policies are. Like, to me, there is no other issue right now. There is no other policy. There's no other issue. I'm a single issue voter, and I'm not even going to vote because fuck that, obviously. Because why would we vote for a bunch of pedophiles, and why would we vote in a system when obviously our vote doesn't count, and obviously our nation is ruled by another nation, by blackmail, subversion, bribery, etc. So, like, thank God for Thomas Massey, and for Ro Khanna, and for Marjorie Taylor Greene before them, who, you know, stepped down. No shade to her for doing that. As for James Fishback, he's saying all these right things, but so did Trump before we elected him. So did Trump's coalition. So did RFK Jr. So I like to think that I've gained a little bit of wisdom from the way I was fooled by this whole MAGA Maha coalition thing this time. I like to think that I've gained a little bit of wisdom to just wait and see actions. I love that Fishback is saying all this shit publicly, and I love that that's going to inspire other young politicians to realize that now is the time to say that shit. And if you actually say that shit and you follow through on it, you'll get votes. You'll get the American people behind you. That'll save America. We need more. We need 100 more James Fishbacks, and we need them to actually follow through on those promises. But I'm not going to vote for him. I don't live in Florida. Even if I did, I wouldn't vote for him, obviously, because I want to see actions before I believe all the good words.
Yeah,
we've been fooled before.
So far, I like everything you said, but once again, you can never trust a politician fully. But I think he's doing the right thing so far. Last one, I want to ask you about Russia. What is so that's now the mainstream media narrative, is that Epstein worked for Russia. I've seen Piers Morgan say this. I'm seeing it from, I think it was Telegraph who posted that. You're seeing this is the push. This is the cover up. What is the evidence there?
It's similar to the evidence that he worked for British intelligence or that he worked for American intelligence. You know, they had a lot of contacts with all sorts of, you know, organized crime figures, intelligence figures in all of these different nations. That's the whole point of what they were doing, is they were infiltrating every nation and trying to get blackmail on all these people and running all these complex financial schemes. And Russia is no exception. So there is evidence that they had friends in Russia and that they had influence in Russia. You need only look at how they talk about non-Jews to realize that they don't give a fuck what country they're talking to. If you're not Jewish, you're less than human to them. And so they don't, like, you know, is Russia a Jewish nation? No. So obviously they don't work for Russia. That's plain as day. But the reason I think why the PSYOP is sort of using Russia as a scapegoat is the same reason why they've used Russia as a scapegoat over and over and over. Partially because they've already built Russia up as this evil, bad boogeyman. But I think that it's so easy to do because Russia is really foreign to America. It's this foreign nation that like is foreign in its ways, foreign language, foreign customs, and just seems very opaque and sketchy. And there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of organized crime, a lot of corruption, a lot of crazy history and dark, you know, conflicting history between us and them. And so it just has all the right ingredients for Americans to not understand a single fucking thing about Russia. And so then when, you know, he's got these contacts like in Russian organized crime and stuff like that, like Simeon Mogilevich, who's actually more aligned with Israel and Zionists in a lot of ways than with the actual Russian regime, because he's a fucking organized criminal that's doing sketchy shit. It's easy to fool Americans because it's just so foreign. And it's like, ooh, look, the foreign boogeyman. But it's retarded. It's blatantly transparent. Whoever's saying that should be immediately turned off and never trusted again, because anyone in journalism, there is no excuse. There's every excuse in the world for a regular American to be fooled by this kind of propaganda. It's extremely advanced. But for a fucking journalist, there is no excuse to be that dumb, because you're not that dumb. People that are saying that don't actually believe it. They're just either burying their head in the sand, like Matt Walsh, because he just doesn't want to lose his fucking paycheck, or he just likes it in the butt too much, or they're actively subverting America and they're actively covering up a, you know, international sex trafficking ring for Jeffrey Epstein. In the case of someone like Ben Shapiro, is my opinion. So, yeah, it's transparent. It's bullshit. Obviously, it doesn't work for Russia because Russia's not Jewish.
Right. If you have time for one more, I'm sure you saw the whole Clubacross Clubtober 7th situation. What was your... dude. It's funny, you know, the timing of this is actually in my favor.
Those fucking pussies, dude. Those damn pussies, dude. You're the only one that actually stood on business and was just like, what the, who cares? Get over it, right? Like, am I wrong? Did anyone stand on business?
Nick also did. Nick didn't fold. And
Nick did? Cool. Well, yeah. I've got beef with Nick for other fucking reasons.
I saw yesterday he said he wants to squash it with you. You know, I hope you guys are able to do that because it is important. Like this.
I mean, to me, it's not personal beef at all. It's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like, you like. The last show of Nick's that I watched was him saying that he believes that the bullet that killed Charlie Kirk went through Charlie Kirk's soft tissue, hit the back skin of his neck, bounced off the back skin of his neck, and then ricocheted off his skin into the back of his spine. And that was like the expert that he was citing for how he thinks Charlie Kirk died. I'm like, bro, you're fucking retarded, dude. The Charlie Kirk assassination is the most clear example of how American Jews subvert America on behalf of Israel, which is like Nick's exact thesis about why it's not just Israel, it's also Jewish billionaires and Jewish donors and Jewish saboteurs. Like, that's Nick's thesis. And the Charlie Kirk thing is that exact thesis. So I'm just, for my beef with Nick is not personal, it's just informational.
I think Charlie Kirk was assassinated by Israel. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that publicly. Actually, I don't believe that. I'm just jokingly saying that. I ironically think Charlie Kirk was assassinated by Israel because you saw that the meetings that he was having, you saw he was turning the tide. He said on PBD that he thought October 7th was an inside job. It was clear that they wanted to invest more money and they just platforming people like Dave Smith. They wanted to have.
He said it in his own text messages. Yeah.
So,
right. Anyways, not to get into Nick Fuentes too much. Nick can do his thing, whatever. He can do his thing. No big deal. But the Club Accost was retarded. And it was like, who the fuck cares? It's a fucking song, dog. And I was very disappointed in the Tates for how they acted. That was ridiculous. Yeah. I don't know anything about clavicular. I was just like, fuck yeah, SNEAKO. Way to stand on business, dude. Who cares?
It's just a song at the end of the day.
Yeah, right. And I didn't follow all the deep drama on it. It was just like, dude, what is going on, guys? No one cares. Obviously, that was media psyops trying to do culture things to young people's minds and like fuck with all of your guys' platforms and create division and just distract people. It's like no one fucking cares. We're over it.
Well, I've been paying attention to all this stuff because they keep trying to throw me under the bus. Since then, Tristan Tate yesterday on a podcast with this rich Jew said that he has an Israeli girlfriend. Andrew Tate on PBD said he has tech teams in Israel. So
I saw the Andrew one. Yeah, I didn't see the Tristan one, but that's. I mean, to be fair, it's like could have seen that fucking coming from a mile away. Yeah, don't have heroes in this industry, right? If there's one thing that we keep fucking learning is don't look up to any of us. Don't look up to fucking influencers. Don't look up to celebrities. It's all bullshit. And maybe some of us aren't bought off, but even the ones that you feel certain aren't. They can still be a piece of shit later on down the line. They can still be a little bitch later. They can still get scared. They can get bought. They can get blackmailed. Just think for yourself. Because your heroes will disappoint you if you put them on a pedestal.
The best thing to follow, no political party, none of this alt-right, communist, none of this stuff. Just follow God. I think you agree.
Bingo, 100%.
Ian Carroll, thank you so much for coming on. Hope we can do this again. I'll try to schedule it. I'll text you privately because there's so much more to cover. The J-Mail too is just it's insane.
Yeah,
insane
dude.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's good to talk, man. Appreciate it. And shout out to the chat. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. Good to see y'all.
Good luck with everything. Talk soon. Bye. Ian Carroll. Bang!